Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Ozcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, girls and gays.
From gutters to gay bars and everywhere in between.
Here to finish off your Tuesday, it's your three besties, two brunettes and a gay.
Welcome back to another Tuesday, everyone. It is your favourite two brunettes and a gay, Deanna.
Aaron.
And Celeste.
I love it.
I tried to take your thing, Aaron.
It's very ASMR-y, isn't it?
I know.
I don't know why we're doing ASMR in the studio. I think it's just a cover-up for the fact that Aaron forgot his name.
Or that no matter how many times we've done this show now, we all look at each other to say, who's going to go next?
That's the problem. I usually go last, and I usually say your favourite gay, Aaron. But, you know, you decided to change it up,
All right.
you know, unknowingly
Look,
today.
we'll discuss this off air. Maybe head to our Instagram and take a vote. Whose name do you think should be first and whose name do you think should be last?
Oh, that's an exciting poll, Deanna.
I know, right? We're struggling for content already. No, just kidding. Welcome back to another week. It is the final week of the Adelaide Fringe, our final episode in the Adelaide Fringe series. We saw another bunch of shows this week. Celeste, what was your favourite show? Tell us about it.
Oh, that's a hard one. Isaac Lohman.
Isaac was one of our guests last week on the show. He hypnotised you live on air, Aaron, didn't he?
He did. And you know what's really weird? When I watched the show, I was kind of slightly reminded of what I did. And yeah, it was hilarious. But much props to the people that got up there, because I don't think I could have been hypnotised that well if I was in front of a group of people.
Well, I think that's probably why it was my favourite because we saw great shows this week. All of them were great.
Yeah.
But I think because there was people that we knew being hypnotised, it made it all that much funnier because you're seeing people that you know and that you love do the funniest things. It's fantastic.
And so many people since that episode aired and you know, we put the stuff on social media about you being hypnotised have messaged to say, yeah, but was he really hypnotised or was he being told what to do?
Oh my God, it actually worked.
Yeah.
It really worked. It was really truthful. It you know, I was not acting at all.
No,
honestly, hand on heart.
It was reiterated by the fact that we had a group of a big group of like 15 people go to see the show, and 3 of our group were actually put up on stage because they were easy to hypnotise and they were doing all sorts of funny things, and it was just a scream. It was hilarious. How about you, Aaron? What was your favourite?
Okay, I'm going to have to say my favourite was the show I saw yesterday.
Have to.
And I'm paid by David for this one. No, I'm just kidding. No, it actually was my favourite show of the week. It was the Tom Van Collins show at the Arkabar. Now, I've still got the tramp stamp here, ladies.
Yes.
You can see my tramp stamp
Hot.
there. Yep.
Yes, there
Hot.
you go. Top of the arc.
Fabulous show. Really tight band, great singing, and I have to say, brilliant narration by the incomparable David Heath. And the audience put my dancing skills to shame because I was kind of, you know, just sitting back and enjoying the music yesterday, but my gosh, the energy of the audience were fantastic.
That's amazing. Well, that's
great.
what happens when you have a good show. The audience just can't get enough.
Fabulous.
And we would expect nothing from the incomparable, nothing less from the incomparable.
Nothing.
You would expect nothing from David. What a way to start the show, David.
I don't think David's going to stick around now.
Nothing less from David. And of course, we are going to actually speak to David, our wonderful panellist here later in the show, so stay tuned for that one. And finally, I went to see The Party. You guys went to see The Party as well. We actually all went to the same shows this week, which was great.
Yeah, it was my second time round.
Your second
for The
time
Party.
round because you liked it that much.
Loved
So
it.
we've just got good reviews all round for
We
The
do,
Party.
yeah.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of flirt.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Top-notch shows this week.
Top-notch shows this week. It's long, though. It's longer than what I expected, actually. So it's not usual for a Fringe show to have, like, an intermission in between it. But, yeah, really great show. So last week of Fringe, if you've got time to go and catch shows, please do, because it's the last week. And then we'll have nothing for another year.
5 days to go.
Well,
What's Tuesday to Sunday? That's 6 days, right? 6 days to go.
did you drop out in year 10?
Year 8, actually.
See, I had to do the maths, and hang on, year 12, no, year 10. Yeah, anyway. No, I mean, there's so many shows out there that, you know, crying out for, you know, people to go and see, so...
So please do, because the
do.
Fringe is on a mission to actually get 1 million tickets sold. And I know that they're
Saw
really
that.
close, but I don't know if they're going to get over the edge.
How close are we? Does anyone know?
I don't know. We'll get an update for you maybe later in the show for that one. I also want to say happy anniversary to you both.
Oh,
You actually, if we're going to be honest...
What'd you buy me?
If we're going to be honest, you both forgot that it was our anniversary, so I'm not impressed.
Oh.
1 month since we started our radio show. On the
Wow.
14th of February, it was Valentine's Day, and here we are on the 14th of March.
To the day.
That's right. Who says that Valentine's Day first dates don't work? Here we are a month later.
Yeah, your story.
Well,
it doesn't age well, does it,
Well,
Aaron?
this is going to be awkward because today I'm going to have to break up with you both.
Oh, no. Oh, this is the final show, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm excited. Look, if you haven't listened to our podcast yet, please do. It's on all the major podcasting platforms. That was really broken.
Podcasting
platforms. On all the major podcasting platforms. And, of course, if you're listening to this on the podcast, please download the Radio Italia Uno app so you can listen live at 5 p.m. on Tuesdays. We've got some amazing special guests coming up later in the show. And we also have everybody's favourite Tuesday tea time coming up after the break. So stay tuned for that one. Welcome back, everyone. It's two Brunettes and a Gay, and it is time for Tuesday tea time. And we have some interesting tea this week, don't we, folks?
Oh, piping hot tea. Now, did anyone catch the Academy Awards yesterday?
Is the Academy Awards and the Oscars the same thing?
Are you for real? Are you seriously having a blonde day today?
I know that one of them has two names. I'm assuming it's that one by the face that you just made at me for asking that question, but...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Celeste.
All right, settle down.
And 1 and 1 equals 2.
No.
But, yeah, did you catch it at all? That's my question.
No, did not catch it.
Did not catch it? Did not catch it?
Caught a few outfits, but nothing more than that.
Oh, weren't they hideous, some of those?
Really? I found it harder to pick a hate.
Oh, did you? See, this year, at the Academy Awards, first of all, I just have to say, just overall, the Oscars didn't slap as hard as they did last year.
Oh.
Hey, there it is.
Pun intended. But no, I noticed on the red carpet there was like a bit of a common theme that everyone was just trying to get as naked as possible, which is really odd.
Really? I thought there was a lot of material going on. We have very different opinions on this.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, well, I guess, I don't know. Look, maybe it's the outfits that I saw on the red carpet, but I thought there was a lot more nudity than normal. I thought it was more meant for the VMA Awards, not, the Academy Awards.
Well, look, I know Oscars in terms of, the award shows, that's kind of the top tier, right? I know. I do know.
Or is it the Academy Awards? Which one
the
did
Academy
you know?
Awards / Oscars. That's kind of the top tier, right? That's the pinnacle
Creme
award.
de la creme.
Yes.
Creme de la creme. Now, I mean, look, it was a overall.
Did you actually watch the show?
Pretty boring. I mean, it was a very long show, and I thought Jimmy Kimmel did an okay job. It wasn't so, it wasn't like the old days with like Billy Crystal or Whoopi Goldberg hosting it.
Okay,
like those old days were pretty
Yes.
cool. But obviously on the red carpet you can have the best dressed and the worst dressed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, do you have your
I want to
favourites?
share what mine are, and I want to see if we've got the same answer.
Yes, we haven't talked about this.
All right, so the worst dress for me was Hunter Schafer from the TV show Euphoria. Now, just to give you a bit of an outline of the outfit, she wore a single feather as a top. So her nipples were barely covered. And I thought it just didn't even look classy. Like it just looked pretty cheap and tacky.
Okay.
And it was funny though, a friend said to me, she said, I wish I could trust people as much as Hunter trusts that piece of fabric.
I haven't seen this outfit. Where did you see this?
Oh, well, let me show you. I'll get it open for you. But this was on the red carpet at the Oscar Awards yesterday.
Okay.
So it's making headlines, But I have to say, so Hunter Schafer was the worst dress for me. Best dress? Cocaine Bear.
Cocaine Bear?
Cocaine Bear.
Was Cocaine
the
Bear
best dress
there?
for me.
And a chair as well?
People with game.
I had to.
Okay.
Diana, what did you think? Did you have a best
I'm
dress?
going to say it. I'm going to say it first. I don't know, because sometimes I do live under a rock, as we all know. Who is Cocaine Bear?
It's a movie.
It's a new movie that's come out. Apparently it's based on like a real life story where, I don't know, something was happening. Was it a plane or something that was flying over some forest and it had cocaine on board or something and it fell out, and basically this bear inhaled it all and it died, but then they've made some comedy movie out of it where it doesn't die, it actually lives and goes on a cocaine bender.
Well, my worst dressed...
All right, tell us, Deanna. Worst dressed...
worst dress, and I hate to say it because I'm a big Dawson's Creek fan.
Oh, do you know, I was
Michelle
watching that on the
Michelle
weekend.
Williams.
Yeah.
I don't I love the look. It's a classic look, but she didn't quite execute it the way that it needed to be executed. I don't know if anyone saw it, but it was just very
I did see it.
White gown with a mesh kind of, I guess, lace, almost like camisole over the top,
Yep.
and the red lipstick. But it just, I don't know, it didn't balance for me.
All right, best dressed?
Best dress was the actress Cara Delevingne.
Gorgeous.
She was stunning in Ellie Saab. I don't know if you've seen it, but look it up. I just think the big, full dress with the gorgeous jewellery done right, the right hair, the right makeup, that classic red carpet look, that's my favourite.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because she was actually my favourite as well. Cara Delevingne.
Isn't that interesting?
There you go.
Snaps.
But, you know, if for argument's sake I'm going to throw another one out there, I actually don't know who this person is, but I just really liked their outfit. Thames. I don't know if anyone saw that one. It was basically like a big draped...
You mean the river?
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
It was a big draped piece of fabric, but I just thought it was beautiful. I just thought it was something different. Like I said, I thought there was a lot of fabric going on, and you thought there was a lot of nudity.
Well, there's so many articles going on about the nudity at the Oscars. I mean, and there was a lot of sheer dresses going on, which, you know, I think are quite sexy, but not very, you know, Oscar friendly.
Well, speaking of my worst dress, I actually thought there was a couple, but Elizabeth Banks, I wasn't a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Was not a fan of the white and black. I just didn't think it did her any justice.
Well, she presented with Cocaine Bear.
Oh.
So Cocaine Bear, you know...
Worst dressed and best dressed. That's
pretty
awkward.
much, exactly. That's very, very awkward. Did you know, you girls love Lady Gaga as much as I do. Did you see what happened on the red carpet with her?
No, I didn't
but
see
I
it.
can't say I was crazy about her dress.
Yeah, there's too much butt crack going on for me, I reckon.
What happened on the red carpet?
So basically she was walking the red carpet and a photographer tripped over and fell over. So she went over to this photographer to help him up. You know, she's a kind soul. She helped him up, but then there's a bit of controversy because when she helped him up, he kind of tapped her like on the backside twice.
Right.
And she just gave him a bit of a death stare.
Ooh.
So I don't know if it was intentional or not, whether he wanted to just, you know, pat Lady Gaga on the old backside.
Look, I think if you got an opening, you take it.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, look, she was presenting with that that dress, and seeing that much skin was showing. You know, it's bound to happen. So
Maybe.
I think I need to see the footage. Pull the footage. I need to see
get
it.
the footage.
But Vanderpump Rules. Celeste, there's a bit of drama with Vanderpump Rules.
Okay, so if anyone is a reality TV watcher, there's a little bit of drama going on in the reality TV world.
Isn't there always?
I'm going to try and give it a really quick wrap up because what I want to actually talk about is the centre of the scandal, right? So basically, the show's been running for about 10 years. There's a couple of people on the show. I don't want to say characters because they play their real selves, even though possibly it's scripted. There's someone on the show that has been in a relationship with another person on the show for 10 years. They have been together for 10 years now, okay? They live together. They're basically married without being married. And the reason they're not married is because she has chosen not to be married, okay? He would have liked to have gotten married. But that aside, right, it has recently come out in the last week that she found out that he has been having an affair for the last 7 months with her best friend.
Ooh, ouch.
Ouch.
Okay, so her best friend, who is also on the show, okay? So these people all feature on this same TV show together. And to make matters worse, the reason she found out was not because they came to her with it. It was because she was handed his phone. He performs in a cover band. His phone was in his pocket on stage. The phone fell out of his pocket. So someone on the stage handed it to her off stage. And while she had it, she decided to have a look at it because she said she felt cool to do so. I think her friends have spoken on her behalf. And she happened to find screen recorded videos of some inappropriate behaviour between the two of them, and that's how she found out.
If you're going to do something like that, why record the evidence?
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I know.
How stupid can you get?
But that aside, I wanted to ask, okay, what line is too far for cheating where there's no going back? Because, you know, each to their own, every relationship is different, and some people might be able to move past that. But is the best friend line the line that you're like, I cannot go back from that? This is not someone that I don't know. This is not a person that does not exist in my world. This is two people that I'm closest to that have done this to me. Is that unforgivable?
Aaron.
Well, I mean, that and, like, best friend and also family. You know, what if he was cheating with her sister or something?
Yes.
That's pretty gross.
Yes.
Pretty gross.
Is that unforgivable to you?
Oh, well, look, I'm gay. So I'm always happy to forgive. As long as I can cheat as
you're
well.
A good
no,
man.
I'm just kidding. No, I think it's a pretty big line to cross. What about you, Deanna? Would you forgive someone if they did that to you?
Oh God!
What if your partner right now cheated with Celeste?
That's all good.
That's kind of gross. I would just be like,
See,
ooh, and then
I'm trying to paint the
it.
picture here of the line that you cross.
No, 100%. I think it's contextual, right? Yeah. I really do, because it's like, okay, what's the context of their relationship? Have they been together for a short time, or have they been together for a long time? What are the outside factors? Was there other things going on? Has she done something in the past? You know, like there's so many different things that are going on. But if we're going to talk about it from a black and white perspective,
to answer that question, there has been no cheating on her part, and they do live together. They own a home together. They've been together 10 years. So they're basically married without being contractually married.
in my personal opinion about cheating and being lied to, yeah, I think it's a hard cry to go back, and especially when it's like right under your nose like that. Mm-hmm. That deception is, you know, if it's like a one-time thing and that's it, I think there's forgiveness. In an ongoing situation with two people right under your nose, and for God's sake, like, they're in the public eye.
Mm-hmm. Well, this begs the question too. So, just to put it out there, they're on reality TV. Mm-hmm. Are the ratings dwindling? Are they doing this for a bit of, you know, controversy for the season?
There has been a lot of talk surrounding that, but there was actually controversy surrounding this best friend of hers with another person on the show that was married and is now going through a separation. So that this season has already kind of been around that relationship. So this one's come out of left field. No one's expected this one. And by the sounds of things, it's kind of like thrown editing into a bit of a tizzy, because they're now wanting to go back and relook at all the footage to see if there's stuff that they missed that alluded to this relationship over the course of the last however many months it's been happening.
Right, so this is where we can see them manipulate the storylines now to gear it towards...
Yes, but the people on the show, because they all have podcasts, get a podcast, I mean, they're fantastic, because the people on the show have spoken about this, saying that now it looks like production want to gear it towards that storyline, because this has come out, although the season that's currently airing is not about that.
Well, look, I mean, there's a lot of drama around the cheating sagas going on in the Tuesday's Teatime this week as well. Hailey Bieber, Selena Gomez drama. I feel like it's been going on for 150 years.
Has it?
I don't know. I mean, they're only 5, so maybe it's been going on for 4 years, but...
Who are these people, by the way? I mean, I've heard of Selena Gomez. I know what Selena Gomez is, but... Who's Hailey Bieber?
You know what a Selena Gomez is.
I know what a Selena Gomez is.
Hailing from her days on the Disney Channel. Hailey Bieber is the daughter of Stephen Baldwin.
Look,
Hailey Baldwin
famous
was
Baldwin daughters. Oh,
yes,
gotcha.
was her name. And she is married to Justin Bieber, hence the last name. Hailey Bieber.
And for those of you who aren't up with the drama, it says when Hailey and her friend Kylie Jenner faced fierce backlash and were branded mean girls after they seemingly poked fun at Selena's recent eyebrow lamination fail.
Maybe this is a testament to our age that we think that that's funny.
What is an eyebrow lamination station? Is this? Are we talking like a laminator like in the office? Like you get a little pouch and you put your eyebrows in it.
Put your whole head in it.
I don't understand what eyebrow lamination is.
I've never had it before. You both looked at me. What is that about?
I'm actually sitting here going, like, is that? No, well, there's eyebrow tattooing, but I actually don't know what eyebrow lamination is.
Look, I've not had eyebrow lamination done, never experienced it, but this is a stab in the dark, but I believe it's got something to do with when the eyebrows, if they're laminated, I think it's so they kind of stay in place and they remain really quite
put together.
Yes.
Okay.
So almost kind of like a laminating process. I don't believe there's any laminating sheets involved.
Doesn't sound anything wrong with that. I mean, it's worse when you've got McDonald's eyebrows.
So what it says,
As big M.
You do.
That looks worse.
But what constitutes a lamination of the eyebrow failure? Like, is it like you have some hairs out of place and then they're stuck there for like the rest of the day?
Do you know what I keep thinking of? You remember that episode of Will and Grace where Jack paints his eyebrows on? He's got one raised and one not. He keeps having to change his expressions.
Or what's that movie where they do the surgery? Just Go With It, and that lady has the eyebrows. You know, the one that flings up. If you haven't seen the movie Just Go With It, go and check it out on YouTube. You'll know what I'm talking about.
But Lamination. That's the new name.
Lamination.
Eyebrow Lamination aside, they've been branded Mean Girls. Look, I don't know a whole lot about the saga.
We're branded Mean Girls now.
Either way, by the sounds of things, there's a little bit of kind of body shaming and that type of thing going on. Look, we're not for that. Girls, we got to be nice. Everyone, be nice to each other. Spread love, not hate.
Well, with everything going on with, Justin Bieber at the moment and his health troubles, I mean, they're the last ones to make any, kind of comment like that.
I just don't think anyone needs the drama.
I also think we need to really rethink what's news and what's not. What is society coming to?
I'm going to look into laminating eyebrows.
Do it.
And let's report back next week.
I might go do it and we'll report back next week.
But we have some interesting guests coming up after the break, so stay tuned for those and we'll speak to you shortly. Welcome back, everyone, and we hope you're having a happy Tuesday. It's Two Brunettes and a Gay here, and we have another incredible Adelaide Fringe guest on the show for you tonight. James Clark is an award-winning comedian who works at a bank in Sydney, and he has flown all the way from Sydney for his show, Comedy for Corporates, Work-Life Balance is for Losers, in the Adelaide Fringe. Welcome to the show, James.
Woo! Guys, appreciate it. You make it sound like it's a hard thing. I love coming to Adelaide. It's not the vicious trek that you make it out to be. It's a wonderful place to be during Fringe time, so
we
no
appreciate that, James. Thank you.
Yes, we do appreciate that. And so this is not your first time in Adelaide then?
It's not, no. I think it's third, but no, my boss used to work at Adelaide, so I kind of come here for work reasons occasionally, but no, it's great. Adelaide during Fringe is kind of the place to be, so, the weather's beautiful, the city's got a whole, energy to it, so, yeah, it's definitely not my first time, and I recommend to everyone, I'm not just saying this to, say nice things about Adelaide, but, if they hadn't considered travelling to Adelaide, do it during the Fringe, because it's literally the time to go. So many things to see and do here, so...
Good shout
get on it, guys.
We agree with you.
We'll use that in the promo, I reckon.
And you know what? Not only have you got the Fringe in the evenings, but on the weekends or during the day, you can head to the wine region. It's all happening here at this time of year. I had some interstate guests come down not long ago, and they absolutely loved it. So thank you for that plug, James. Please tell all your Sydney friends.
Absolutely, yeah. No, at least I can do.
Now, I want to know, how does one go from being a master banker to a stand-up comedian?
Okay, I'm glad you qualified that master banker. That was a bit wide. I don't know. I mean, overconfidence, perhaps. I mean, that's probably it. My comedy audience, during my day job's kind of limited. So being the extroverted, always needing praise type person I am, I sort of, it's a natural extension. But I actually started doing comedy before working for a bank. I like to say that my first ever gig was when I was 9 in a talent show.
Yeah.
And
tell us about that.
Well, it's a humble brag, so just strap yourselves in. So it was a local talent show, and I must have told 3 one-liner jokes, and I wore a sideways cap, 2 different coloured socks, my shirt was on back to front, and I won.
Classic.
So, and there was always, there was adult performers, not adult performers, but performers who are adults, let me qualify that. And I was
very different kind of talent show.
This is amazing. And first prize was a family-sized block of Cadbury chocolate. So when I was 9, that was massive. So today it's probably nothing. But this was this huge thing. I was damn, you can go out, tell jokes on stage and get some chocolates. I'm this is for me. This is perfect. And
so that planted the seeds for what is the show that you are debuting tonight. Was your opening night at the Adelaide Fringe tonight, isn't it?
It is. It's in an hour or so. So we're sold out, which is good. So you can't head down tonight, but
we are heading down tonight. Actually, James, we are all coming to see you. So we're looking forward to that.
Definitely looking forward to that one.
We can chat to our listeners about it. But tell us about Comedy for Corporates. What is the show about?
But look, a lot of the comedy sort of is focused on So in Sydney particularly, type of gigs I do, a lot of those comedians who I love, and they're great, they don't work office jobs. They work jobs that are cash in hand, or that will never give them a tax certificate. So it's all around the table, which is fine. They're doing their thing. So it's there seems to be a lack of comedy that's sort of targeted at people who are just like kind of run-of-the-mill, like doing sort of boring old office work, you know. So we're just going to have a bit of an exploration into their world and look, have a bit of a rant about all the struggles we face, because we're masters of complaining. That is absolutely the first thing we do. So when asked about our job, we say we're busy, and how busy we are. We're so busy, it's terrible, and we can't do anything. So we're just going to have a bit of a think about, you know, what it's like for the average office worker in Australia, like the sort of struggles we face. And
I can't wait to see this show, James, because I am nodding profusely in the studio because I'm an office worker too, and I know how struggling it is to balance both the creative side and the corporate side. And so I'm so excited to see the show tonight and hearing your office tales.
So how long, James, have you actually been doing this show, or is tonight the premiere of this show completely?
This is the premiere of the show. So
world premiere. First time this show's on stage. Have you done the Adelaide Fringe Festival before, or any festivals before with other shows?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I've done Fringe here a couple of times.
Yes.
I've done other festivals as well, like Sydney and Melbourne. Did a few things in Hong Kong as well. But no, this is the debut of Comedy for Corporate's Work-Life Balance is for Losers. So very much looking forward to it. So I probably should have did it a lot earlier. But maybe kind of I've matured somewhat. You know, it's kind of like time sort of, you know. But I always thought that, you know, the kind of office world, not really a great source of comedy, because it's kind of very routine and straightforward, and, you know, there's annoyances to it. But look, I think there's a potential, you know, rich theme of material there, like that's kind of universal. So,
absolutely. I think the corporate world is a great source of material. Now, if people want to come and see your show, obviously we can see already that your show tonight and tomorrow night is sold out, but you still have tickets available for Saturday at 4:30 p.m, and you are showing at which venue?
It's the Crack Kitchen, which is on Franklin Street. So it's a cafe, but upstairs they've got a performance space. So it gets down on Saturday and it's at 4:30. So
yeah, excellent. Well, if you would like to head along and see James, obviously tickets are always through Fringe Tick. So please head and get yours now. Support the last week of the Fringe. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, James. And we actually look forward to seeing you tonight at your show. So best of luck with everything.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll talk to you tonight. Thanks, guys.
Welcome back. We've got a new segment for you all. Tuesday Triggers.
Triggers.
Oh, yes. We've got some pet peeves from the weekend. Celeste, pet peeve.
Okay, this one, I'm going to keep it short, sharp and shiny, and maybe I'm on my own with this one, but this is a trigger for me. Okay, when people are sick, you know what? I understand that you're unwell, but I hate it. It really bothers me when people are rude about it. You go up to say hello to them. You're being so nice, so friendly, so kind. You say, hi, how are you? And they go, oh, no, don't come near me. It makes it so awkward. You just stand there staring at each other and you kind of are like, oh, sorry. Like, why am I apologizing to come and say hello to you? Sorry, I'll be rude next time and keep my distance.
And sorry, you're the sick one.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't be that sick if they're out.
It's so number one, but number two, right? Okay, if you're sick and you don't want to be hugged, there's a nice way to say that. Just be like, oh, hello, I won't hug you just because I'm not feeling the best, but how are you doing? You know what, like, don't make it awkward until we just stand there staring at each other.
Yeah, let's take it to a poll on Instagram, yes or no. Is it rude to be like, oh, no, don't hug me, oh my God?
Yeah,
or can you just, is there a nice way to approach it?
It bothers me. Aaron?
Good point. Well, for me, actually, it was at Fringe this weekend. Now, I know, you know, some performers don't like sharing a lot of photos and stuff like that, you know, the audience take of them. But we're living in the modern age where people do Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Grindr. But what I don't understand is when Fringe staff come up to you during a show and tell you not to take photos or videos, when performers actually rely on it to promote the content for their show.
Yeah, absolutely. But I am just to play devil's advocate. They actually announced it on a big loudspeaker at the beginning of the show, and they said no photos and videos, and you did it anyway.
Okay, but this is the second time I'd seen this particular show, and I know
you ignored it twice.
I ignored it twice. Hey, they reshared my photo. So the thing is, what makes me laugh is that the show itself actually shared the videos and photos that everyone in the audience took, which just, you know, that's the way of the world now. We promote
I know. I guess it's a miscommunication. I think for some shows, maybe it's sensitive content that they don't want shared. That show did have some sensitive content.
Yeah,
so potentially
might have been the fact that they were all wearing their strap-ons or something.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. Or maybe it's just a miscommunication between front of house and the producers of the show themselves. We don't know.
I mean, they said it on a big loudspeaker, and then she just came and asked Aaron to not take a video. So there was no miscommunication there. It was actually quite clear.
So we can just rule
the rules were broken.
That Aaron was just annoyed. The end.
Yeah, pretty much. Just
my pet peeve.
You've got a big pet peeve.
I've got a big one, and I've had this peeve for years, and I'm so glad that I now have a platform to talk about this peeve.
Deanna loves her soapbox moment.
I love my soapbox moment.
Get on your chair.
I'm going to keep it quick. If you are an Adelaidean and you do not know that the Garden and Gluttony are not the Adelaide Fringe, then I don't know what to do with you at this point in time. Just to be clear, the Adelaide Fringe is a festival that supports shows. Shows are not just at the Garden and Gluttony, they're all over South Australia. And if you buy a ticket to a show to see the artists who are the reason that the whole festival exists, you are supporting the Adelaide Fringe. If you go into the Garden or Gluttony to buy a meal, you ain't supporting beep. Okay? Beep all. You're not supporting the Fringe.
You're supporting the Garden or Gluttony, which are completely separate entities.
Correct. Yeah. And okay, yes, reframe. Gluttony, South Australian company as well. Garden, interstate company. Independent food venues in there. Some of them are South Australian in both venues, so that's wonderful. Whether or not they're South Australian, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. But just so we are clear, when we have these articles coming out about the Fringe being at threat of not being around because there's not enough artists, coming anymore, there's not enough support for the shows, and then people go, oh, but I go in all the time. Just so we're clear, if you go and buy a meal, you're not supporting the arts themselves, and that's the actual festival, and without the festival, the Garden and Gluttony don't exist.
And that's a round of applause.
Thank you, David,
from
for
David
your applause.
Heath.
Thank you.
And just on that, I mean, I think maybe there's a misunderstanding that artists actually don't earn money when they're in those venues from the venues themselves. They are not paid to be in those venues. We pay to be in those venues. So if you are going to the venue, supporting the venue, thinking by doing that you're supporting the artists in that venue, you're actually not. You're actually taking money, I guess, away from them because they are paying to be there. So the less tickets they sell, they still have to pay those venues the same amount for the amount of shows that they're booked in for their run. Yep. So you want to get behind the artists, guys. You want to get behind everyone. Get behind the food vendors.
I love getting behind everyone.
Yes, you do. Well, Aaron, if that wasn't just a perfect...
That triggered me. Sorry, Celeste.
Segue.
To comebacks and retirements.
Oh, dear. I don't want to touch that one with a 12-foot pole.
You should retire on that comment.
Well, we had this great segment the other week, didn't we?
Yes, we did. And we wanted to bring it back this week. Although maybe we should retire it. Who knows by the end of this segment what's going to happen. But if you listened a few weeks ago, Comebacks and Retirement was a segment we did, and we had some good stuff happening in it. So we're going to go through these really quick because I think we've got a few funny ones. Aaron?
Okay, so what should make a comeback? Number one, bring back Patsy Bisco.
What's a Patsy Bisco?
It's an old biscuit from the 80s. No, I'm just kidding. She used to be a children's entertainer, like the Funkies. Anyway, and what should retire? Okay. I'm going to say mine first. So what should retire is Meghan Markle and Prince Harry.
Oh.
Can't stand them.
Yep.
But also I have to jump in and say what our listeners suggested.
What were they?
Cozzy.
Wait, should he make a comeback or retire?
Well, he retired from Channel 9. He's gone to Channel 7. So he came back on Channel 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you're saying he should go...
back to Channel 9 or retire completely?
I think retire completely.
Okay.
But that's their suggestion, not mine. Celeste, what was yours?
My suggestion, okay, I'll keep it real quick. Come back, Friends, the TV show.
Yes.
You can't go past it. I know there's going to be a Friends/Seinfeld debate here, Aaron. I'm not into it.
Let's not get into that.
Let's do that another show.
But, I don't care if it's in a TV format, if it's in a rewatch podcast, if it's in a movie. It's just, it was great. So bring it back. Retirements, I think it's Chrissy Teigen. I can't stand her.
Yeah.
You're all looking at me like you don't know who I'm talking about.
I have no
Let's
idea.
leave it there.
No.
She's married to John Legend.
Ah.
He's a John Legend.
She doesn't sound legendary.
Right,
Deanna.
well, I'll Google that one. Okay, last comeback. Savage Garden.
Oh, yeah.
Savage Garden.
They did make a comeback.
Well, they are making a comeback with their song,
It's
and
just
that's what
him,
made
though.
me think. I know, it's just Darren Hayes
Yeah,
right now.
we need both of them.
But I think both of them, Savage Garden, more songs, I'm all down for it, right? Retirements, reality TV.
Oh, well, that's awkward because we're going to do a whole show on that.
I know, and so we're going to talk about this more next week. But I just don't think reality TV is reality TV anymore. So why are we still doing reality TV? It's all scripted at the end of the day.
Well, there's reality and then there's TV, so...
Happy Tuesday, everyone.
Tuesday.
Every you just messed me up there. This has been a great ad break. I was going to say 2 Brunettes and a Gay are back, and I was going to update our listeners on what's been going on in the studio during the 6 o'clock news. We've been Googling Patsy Bisco for Celeste.
I still thought it was a biscuit.
She thought Patsy.
You're so young and naive, Celeste. I
So
love it.
showing Celeste images of Patsy Bisco, and I saw them, and I went, "Yeah, I know who that is." And Celeste's still got no idea.
No idea.
The younger generation. But anyway, that's what's been going on in the antics in the studio. But now we have the interview of all interviews that we've ever had for the whole month that we've been on air. For the whole 1 month, we have been in this profession of ours, if you could call it that.
Quote unquote.
It is the incomparable David Heath. Now, to put you in the picture, David Heath is the man and the reason that we are on air to begin with.
The man, the myth, the legend.
He is.
It's
And
my fault.
It is your fault.
Right, okay.
And he is actually the man most of the time who is behind the desk, playing our music, playing our ads, making sure that we're, staying in line, keep defending us from people who...
Don't give him that responsibility. People are going to be like, he's done a shocking job.
No, okay. We're responsible for keeping ourselves in line. We're responsible for keeping ourselves in line. But he plays the ad breaks and keeps everything happening.
You just downgraded it,
lost
Deanna.
it. I know.
He just plays the ad breaks.
If you guys can do this better, why don't you do it yourselves?
Perhaps I should do it.
Maybe Dave.
Actually, David, do you want to introduce yourself?
No, I want to introduce David because I had a thing planned. Now, let's go. Celeste and Aaron have lost it,
They've
so
lost
forget
it.
about them. I'm going to take over the show. David is a veteran.
That's Celeste's laugh, by the way, when she's really, losing it.
When she loses it, she goes,
I'm back. Let's do it. David!
Celeste.
All right. Now, David Heath is a veteran of the South Australian media, having worked for many years at 5AD and 5AA. He has experience working in the Canberra Press Gallery. He was a breakfast news editor at Australia's leading talk and sports station, 3RW, in Melbourne. He's a foundation member of Cornsy's all-star rock band, formed way back in 1996, almost before Celeste was born, and the narrator of the most successful Fringe show of all time, the Creedence Clearwater Revival. Revival. I'm going to put my hands together and welcome David to the show. That was a mess. David, I apologise. You deserved better than that. Thank you.
This was going to be one of the great honours of my life, but maybe not so much now.
I really tried, I promise.
No, it was lovely. Deanna, it was lovely. Thank you very much for saying
worries.
one or two nice things about me.
You are more than welcome. Thank you for joining us as our final Fringe guest in our Fringe series.
I'm blessed. I'm touched. I'm almost emotional.
Oh, well, so are we.
We had to have him as the finale.
We had to have him
Save the best for last.
As the finale of the Fringe guests from the 2023 Fringe season. There was no one else we could have had but David Heath.
Now, before we get into Creedence, can you tell us a little bit about your journey that has brought you to be the narrator of a Fringe show?
Well, I can tell you exactly how it happened. I was having my 50th birthday at the Glenelg Football Club 8 years ago. And as guests at the event were Simon Wilson and Greg Mallon and a whole bunch of other musicians that I'd played in Cornsey's band with over the years. And Simon, the creator of the Creedence Revival, approached me at my party and said, mate, we've got this new show idea that we're putting together for the Fringe. Would you like to be involved? And I said, sure, tell me about it. And they explained it was a tribute show for Creedence Clearwater Revival. A lot of the guys in the band are Creedence fans. And they said, would you like to be the narrator? And I thought, well, that sounds interesting, doesn't it? So I accepted immediately, and that's 8 years ago, and we've been doing the show half a dozen times a year since then, including at the Fringe. We try and keep it fresh for the Fringe every year.
Okay.
But, yeah, we've been doing the show now for about 8 years.
Right, so because I know that you've been a narrator of a few shows, but was this your debut into narrating?
Yeah, it was. It was the first time, and since then I've worked with the fabulous Aaron Collis last year with the ABBA show at the Her Majesty's Theatre, and Aaron joined us yesterday afternoon for the debut of a new show called Tom Van Collins, which I'm also involved as the narrator. But yes, the Creedence show was the first time I'd done something like this. Yes.
Okay, David, I have to know: were you a fan of
Hello,
Creedence? Your favourite? He's actually told me that. Were you a fan of Creedence Clearwater
Yep.
before? Okay, so when this offer came to you, it was like, well, this is a no-brainer.
It's hard not to be a fan of Creedence Clearwater Revival because of some of the great songs that John Fogerty wrote. And I can remember as a kid at my grandparents' place, a cousin of mine, Stephen, big Creedence fan, so there would always be Creedence records on the gramophone, well, not a gramophone, but a record player at my grandparents' place. You know, we'd listen to Creedence going right back to when I started thinking about music and listening to music myself, you know, at about age 8 or something like that, so about 50 years ago. And the Creedence, what we do in this show is not only play some of that great music. Obviously, it's the Creedence songbook is finite. It's not like the Rolling Stones that, you know, have been going for 1,000 years and there's 4,000 songs. Yeah. Creedence was only a band together for about 4.5 years.
Right.
Before they split up, and Tom Fogerty eventually died, John's brother, and then John Fogerty went on to his own solo career. So you can tell the story from start to finish in a 2-hour show. I think that's why it works, because you can cover off on a lot of the story about Creedence in a 2-hour show, because they were only together as the four of them for about 4.5 years.
Right, so speaking of stories.
Yes.
If we were to cover your story, we'd need a few hours, right? Because you've got a lot of accolades to your name. But for our listeners, and I think for ourselves as well, I'd like to know, like, a real quick kind of timeline of where you started out in the media, one thing after the other. Tell us how your journey went.
Well, I studied journalism. After I left school, I studied journalism at what was then called the South Australian College of Advanced Education, now better known as University of South Australia.
And how old were you then?
I was 20.
Right. So
19, 20, something like that.
Yep.
Did the 3-year journalism course. Didn't actually graduate because I got a job, a cadetship in a radio newsroom in my 3rd year, and that was at 5AD with the legendary Max Duggan, who sadly only passed away a couple of days ago. The guy that employed me. Max, he's very sadly missed. So that's where I started. I then I spent a couple of years at 5AD, then went to Melbourne to a radio station called 3MP for a couple of years, and came back to 5AD for a little while. And then found myself at 5AA for a few years, including not only working on air and calling basketball games and producing, but became news director, so the boss of the newsroom at 5AA for a while. Ended up at 3AW in Melbourne, which was just a brilliant place to work. And somebody with my career,
yep.
It's the ultimate place in Australia to work, and I had the pleasure of doing so for 12 months. And I was the breakfast news editor, so I would pull together the news that we broadcast during the breakfast show. Came back to Adelaide and then got into politics. So the radio part of my career ended, and then I got into politics, and for a long time I worked under Mike Rann and Jay Weatherall as an evil spin doctor, Deanna, as a media advisor.
Ooh.
And here I am these days in community radio and completely loving it.
Okay, so wait, we're going back to the...
Except for tonight.
How would you put a spin on this show?
I need to think about it for hours. I think to make some notes, draft up a media release to apologise.
Yeah.
So
Drink a few bottles of wine.
Yes.
I want to dive into that because I think that sounds really interesting. Okay, so being a spin doctor for the media, does that mean that you're the one who's putting the angle on everything?
Sort of, yes.
Doing the kind of contingency plans.
Your role as a political media advisor is to work with your minister. That's how normally it works, and to not only talk about all the good things that your minister is doing, the policies he or she is introducing, the money he or she is spending on programs, but also then to defend the government when an issue comes up or there's a problem or whatever. So that's your role is liaison with the media, between the minister and his department and the media, and you draft media releases and you help with speech writing and all that sort of thing. But your job is dealing with media.
Is that a high stress job?
Yes.
I would think so.
It was particularly tough in some portfolios. I mean, if you read the paper every day and watch the ABC and listen, and if you absorb news and media today, education and health are always in the news. So if you're in those portfolios, it's a very busy portfolio. You're doing something every day. And it's tough, particularly I always used to feel for young people. I was always a bit older, but young people in the job with young families, because the phone can start ringing when you're a media advisor. And look, you accept this when you take the job,
right,
and you're well rewarded for it too, I might say. But the phone starts ringing at 5 o'clock in the morning and doesn't finish until 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, so you never rest because who knows what's going to come out.
And
when.
then at weekends, you can be at the soccer with your 8-year-old, and the phone will ring, and it'll be somebody from a media organisation wanting to interview the minister about something.
And you got to organise it.
And you got to organise it, absolutely.
Okay, I need to know, in all of your years on air, what's your most embarrassing moment ever?
5 minutes ago.
Apart from that.
I've been fortunate. I suppose you also work hard to create your own career. So when I say I've been fortunate, I've also put myself in a position where I've been able to be things like a news director in a newsroom and a breakfast editor at 3AW and calling sport. That's been one of the favourite things of my life, was calling basketball both here and in Melbourne, sitting courtside and calling games and watching the 36ers win a championship while you're live to air and all those sorts of things. They're great times. Embarrassing? I don't, honestly, Deanna, I don't have an embarrassing moment at the top of my head.
Wow.
I can't really, there are always times when you leave your microphone on and you start talking to your guest off air, or you say something you shouldn't. There was a time when I was young and I was working in Melbourne at 3MP. 3MP was based at Frankston in Melbourne, down on the Mornington Peninsula, so I lived down there. And this particular morning, I was always when I was taught to be a newsreader, to go into the booth and pre-read your bulletin. So I've taken my scripts, I've taken my carts. Back in the old days, we still used carts rather than audio on screens. And I was reading through my scripts, and the announcer was tapping on the window. There was a window between the booth and the studio.
Yep.
He had an angry look on his face. He's bashing on the window and pointing at his watch. And I'd been so engrossed in pre-reading my bulletin, I'd missed the start of the bulletin. And I was 2 minutes in and there was dead air. So that's an embarrassing moment. But generally, you can be in this industry for 40, 50, 60 years and you'll still do stupid things like leave your mic switched on.
Well, that makes us feel good.
Well, absolutely. And might I say that you're a month into your radio careers, and if it lasts much longer, you guys have settled in brilliantly. This is not an easy thing to do, what you're trying to do, pulling together an hour and a half every Tuesday night to keep it entertaining, to select your own music, to pick your own topics. This is not an easy thing to do. And you've come from a performance background, but you certainly haven't come from a media background. So what you've been able to manage to achieve in the last month, happy anniversary for your first month,
Thank you.
has been terrific. It really has been.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And look, we honestly have so much gratitude for you. There's wonderful man sitting here because when we reached out and, said, I actually nudged David and I was like, David, we want to do a podcast. Could you, mentor us for air so that we sound good? And he was like, sure, if you come on my show, I'll mentor you live on air. And it all just snowballed from there. And we're so grateful for the opportunity. So we wouldn't be anywhere without this man sitting in front of us.
I want to ask, David, you said to us just before we wrap up. Hello.
You said to us just before we wrap up.
Right, you said to us that you have only ever been interviewed once before tonight, and that was on your own show.
Yes.
Someone came in and actually interviewed you for your own show, Soundtrack of Your Life.
Yes.
How does this interview compare to that? I mean, it's probably not comparable, right?
Well, that was I started doing the show on another community radio station here at Adelaide. I moved to Radio Italia Uno 2 or 3 years ago, and so that was at the other radio station.
Yes,
and it was a full show dedicated to me. Why wouldn't you? It's your own show. It's your own time on the air every week.
You may as well.
I actually picked a few favourite songs, including Green River from Creedence Clearwater Revival and a few others, But I've got to say, this interview this evening has been more of a pleasure. Let me say that.
Oh, well, you know what? I mean, I think I'm just going to put it out there, but I think we would love to come on your show and take it over and interview you again if you want to do a part 2.
Well, we can always organise that. See, the beauty of my show, which of course is here on Radio Italia Uno 87.6 FM on a Friday night, 7 until 9. It's called Soundtrack of Your Life with me and Alex Ward joining me and guests and great music. Yes, if you want to come back now that you've got your own show, if you want to invade my show on a Friday night and take over and schedule the music and include me in some small capacity, you'd be very welcome to.
Well, I think we'll have to organise a part 2 of David's Soundtrack of Your Life
we can do that
in the future, so stay tuned for that, folks,
we can do that.
Because we'll let you know about that one.
So before we wrap up, David, where can we see... Hello, David. Where can we see this brilliant show of yours before the Fringe wraps up? Where can we see you?
Well, look, we're at the Regal Theatre on Kensington Road, the old Chelsea, the beautiful Regal Theatre on Kensington Road, this Saturday night. So it's the penultimate night of the Fringe. The Fringe, of course, finishes next Sunday, as you've mentioned on your show already. I need to take you back, Aaron, to your Oscars discussion.
Yes.
I've not worried about fashions on the red carpet since Lady Gaga wore meat. I sort of,
It's all over.
You know what? You look.
Was that the Oscars or was that the Golden? Or was that perhaps
she
the
wore a meat
Grammys?
dress. It was the VMA Awards back in 2011.
Right.
Now I just think you look fabulous in a meat dress.
In a meat dress,
yeah,
or dressed as an egg.
Because
she did that as well, didn't she?
She did.
Yes.
I prefer it if it was vegan.
Saturday, and you guys are coming. I mean, we're going to reserve some seats in the front row, but you guys are coming on Saturday.
We are going to be there.
Can't wait.
So it's Saturday night, 18th of March, 7:30 start, Regal Theatre, Kensington Road. The show's called The Creedence Revival, and ticket sales have been pretty good. We're looking at, with any luck, filling the theatre. I think its capacity is about 500.
Brilliant.
And you can go to the Fringe website. That's where you can get all the information and buy your tickets. Very reasonably priced.
Getting quick.
Very reasonably
We would
priced.
love you to come and see David. We would love to see you there. Come and say hi to us too if you come along to the show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, David. It has been a pleasure talking to you as always.
And we're going to play a Creedence song now?
We're going to play a Creedence song in
song.
honour of the incomparable David Heath. Welcome back. Aaron.
He's having a giggle.
Aaron is losing it. Aaron, why are you losing it?
Okay, so we just had a bit of an extra long break there, so I thought I'd just, have a bit of a pit stop and go to the loo. I just went to wash my hands. But instead of hand wash, there was morning fresh. Is there something I'm not in on here?
You know what I think was funnier? Is the fact that Celeste and I weren't alarmed by the morning fresh because we're Italian and Italians use morning fresh for everything. And since this is Radio Italia Uno, it makes perfect sense.
Wait.
Did your hands wash well? What are you complaining about?
No, I didn't end up washing them in the end.
Oh, well, that's nice to know. I'm glad we're sharing a studio.
Yeah. But I didn't understand, is there something that I'm missing? Is there something specific about morning fresh that is better? than hand wash or soap.
I think it's just multi-purpose for Italians. Any of you from Italian background out there listening to the show, I hope you're laughing right now, and I hope you get this, because Celeste and I were laughing about the Morning Fresh. I got a little story about Morning Fresh. I remember, like, several years ago now, my dog, she's 10 now, but I reckon she was maybe 3 years old at the time, and my nonna looked after her, and I asked her to bathe the dog for me, and when we got her back, and my mum said, "Oh, did you use the shampoo, the dog shampoo?" And she said, "No, I bathed her in Morning Fresh."
It's used for everything. High priority item on an Italian shopping list. Morning Fresh.
Oh, I love it.
That's it. Go to Morning Fresh. It's been a big show.
Fresh.
It's been a big show. Finished off with a big interview by the fabulous David Heath. How was that? Wasn't that brilliant?
And
Hello,
actually,
Celeste.
we need to put an amendment to the show time. David said
Yes.
it was 7:30 on Saturday, but it's not. It's 7 p.m. on Saturday if you're getting your tickets to Credence, so don't be late. Mm-hmm. But if you've been listening to this live via the Radio Italia Uno app, then thank you. And if you haven't, download the app. Or, of course, if you'd like to listen to the podcast, we are on all of your major podcast networks. And we would love for you to have a listen. Give us a rating if you like the show too. We haven't got any ratings.
Yeah, we don't. So make sure you hit like and give us, what is it, out of 5 stars, 10 stars?
Well, follow us on social media as well. At 2 Brunettes and a Gay. We're on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We don't use it that much. Let's not get onto the TikTok discussion right now.
No.
But head on over, because we often ask questions of our listeners as well, and we love to have your input on our Instagram. So go over there and follow us.
Absolutely. I'd love to have your input on if you've got Morning Fresh in your bathroom at home.
Aaron wants to know.
I'm really curious to how many people
Fresh.
have Morning Fresh in their bathrooms.
Or what other uses do you have for Morning Fresh?
Do you put it in
Dog washing, apparently.
Yes,
dog
apart
washing?
from dog washing.
Do you put it in a nice bolognese sauce or something? Or does it add a bit of tang?
Or maybe you put it in like just a glass of water and all of a sudden you have instant bubbles.
I think
As
you'd
in, like,
end up in the
champagne.
hospital.
What a way to end the show. David Heath and Morning Fresh.
Oh, Morning Fresh, Morning Fresh. Well, we've had a fabulous show. Have a fabulous week.
Have a fabulous week, absolutely.
And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Ciao, Adelaide.
It's your favourite trio, 2 Brunettes and a Gay, here to remind you to join us every Tuesday at 5 p.m. for your drive home.
Expect the best beats, sassiest segments, and plenty of piping hot tea from the weekly rumour mill. And let's be honest, we know us Italians love a good gossip.
So tune in at 5 p.m. every Tuesday right here on your number one station, Radio Italia Uno, 87.6 FM.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.